Hello and welcome to another episode of Africa the Motherland. My name is Djaji Prime and this week we are in Angola. Now officially known as the Republic of Angola, Angola is a country situated in the south of Africa. Not in South Africa, but in the southern region of Africa. And it is surrounded by countries such as the Democratic Republic of Congo or Congo Kinshasa, the Republic of Congo or Congo Brazzaville, Zambia to the east, and the Atlantic Ocean to the west. Now Angola was a colony of Portugal, and it has been a colony of Portugal since about the 16th century. However, most of these settlements by the Portuguese were along the coastline. Like I said, the Portuguese settlements were mostly situated along the coastline of Angola, and that is also where you'll find Angola's capital, Luanda. Luanda is, like I said, a coastal city, and it functions as the port city of Angola, a commercial center, and also the political center of Angola. Luanda is also the third largest Portuguese-speaking city after Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, which are both located in Brazil. Angola gained its independence on the 11th of November 1975. However, since gaining its independence, Angola has been thrown into decades of war and strife, something we'll be going into a little bit later in this video. So moving on to the people of Angola, and a person from Angola is known as an Angolan, and there are many ethnic groups within Angola. Some of the ethnic groups are the Umbundu, which forms about 37% of the Angolan population. You have the Mbundu, which has 25% of the Angolan population, the Bakongo, which has 13%, the Mestico, which is like a mixture between maybe European and natively African peoples, and also European, which forms about 1% of these population. So there are many languages as well. The main language in Angola is of course Portuguese, which also functions as the official language of Angola, and that accounts for about 71.2% of all the speakers in Angola. Umbundu, Kikongo and Kimbundu are other languages in Angola. So now let's talk about the ethnic groups more specifically, and we'll be talking about the two major ones, starting with Umbundu. Now this is the largest ethnic group in Angola. Between 1904 and 1918, the Umbundu were responsible for assisting the Portuguese in several military exercises against other ethnic groups within Angola, mainly situated in the central and southern part of Angola. Something about the architecture of the Umbundu: their houses are circular or rectangular in shape, with each house having its own garden, granary, chicken coop, and a pen for goats and sheep. Now moving on to the religious beliefs, I think this is something I found quite fascinating. They believe that we have a soul, and at night the soul leaves the body and goes out to interact with nature and things, and that this interaction is communicated to the body through dreams. They also believe that when a person dies, his or her ghost remains on the house, and it sort of haunts the occupants of the house. What is needed is for a herbalist to come and sort of cast away the soul, or sort of transition the soul to becoming an ancestor. Now moving on to the Umbundu, they have various oral traditions. Now it is believed that the founder of the Umbundu kingdom was a person called Angola, and that is where the name Angola actually comes from. The beliefs of the Umbundu are based on the interactions, praise and communication with ancestral spirits. If you have problems in your life, it is a belief of the Umbundu that you are having problems with communicating with the spirits, and so you need to go and consult a diviner or a herbalist to try and interpret what your real problem is and get it sorted out. I almost forgot, we didn't discuss the flag of Angola. So the flag of Angola is made up of two horizontal bands, red on top and black at the bottom, with a centered yellow emblem consisting of a 5-pointed star within a half cogwheel crossed by a machete. So the red represents liberty, the black represents the African continent, and the symbols within the center represent the workers and the peasants. Now moving on to government, Angola has three branches of government. An executive branch, which is made up of the presidency. Angola functions as a presidential republic, a judicial arm, and also a parliamentary branch. There are 18 provinces in Angola, and the legal system is primarily based upon Portuguese law. Now in Angola, you can only be a citizen if one of your parents is a citizen. There is no dual citizenship, and if you want to be a naturalized citizen, you have to have lived in Angola for at least 10 years. The current president of Angola is José Eduardo dos Santos, who has been the president since 1979. The current vice president is Manuel Domingos Vicente. The cabinet is appointed by the president. The president himself is elected indirectly by members of the National Assembly for a 5-year term. The members of the National Assembly themselves are elected directly. Now, it is worthy of note that the members of the National Assembly don't vote for an individual to become president, they actually vote for a party. So the leader of the winning party then becomes the president of Angola. So speaking of the legislative, Angola's legislative branch is unicameral, meaning there's only one house, known as the National Assembly. Now moving on to the economy of Angola. Angola's economy is based heavily on petroleum and oil, with oil accounting for 50% of GDP, more than 70% of government's revenue, and more than 90% of exports. Diamonds also account for about 5% of exports from Angola. Angola has a lot of diamonds. In Angola, most people engage in subsistence agriculture, meaning they grow what they eat. However, Angola still imports a majority of its food products. Now, post-war reconstruction and resettlement of displaced people is what sort of gave Angola a large boost in its economy and led to rapid growth. Now, speaking of the war in Angola, like I said at the beginning of this video, has gone through decades of war. It's gone through a war of independence which began since the end of World War II till 1975, and after 1975 there was a civil war within the country, basically for political power. Now, elaborating further on that, we have that after World War I there was an agitation against the Portuguese. Now, the Portuguese military then clamped down against the Angolans who were trying to rebel for independence. Now, the major nationalist organizations in Angola were the Popular Movement for the Liberation of Angola, the National Front for the Liberation of Angola, and the National Union for the Total Independence of Angola. Now, after independence, the Popular Movement for the Liberation of Angola, known as MPLA, was essentially in charge of the government, and this was because it was the major movement that was leading the fight for independence. So the National Union for Total Independence of Angola wasn't exactly happy with this and started rebelling against the government. A civil war then broke out. Now, it is worthy of note that while the Popular Movement for the Liberation of Angola was a Marxist party, the Union for the Total Independence of Angola were anti-communists. So what you had was, during the civil war, Angola essentially became a Cold War battleground, with the Soviet Union and Cuba supporting the Popular Movement for the Liberation of Angola, and the United States and South Africa supporting the National Union for the Total Independence of Angola. Conflict continued until 2002, but Angola has sort of gradually moved past this. Now, even though Angola has witnessed an economic boom, there is still inequality in the distribution of income. There is still a lot of poverty in Angola and a massively rich elite. So I think I'm going to bring the video to an end here. It's been a bit long. I hope you learned something about Angola and this has sort of inspired you to sort of go and learn more about Angola. I'll leave all the links that I used in making this video in the description below. Please be sure to check that out and learn something for yourself as well. I hope you enjoyed this series and you want to learn more about Africa. Like I said, every week we'll be talking about a different country, and I think next week we're doing Benin Republic. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you know someone that is African or into African history and culture, please be sure to recommend them this series. Subscribe if you're new around here so that you can be updated whenever I upload new content. And I hope you have a blessed day and you've learned something from this video. My name is Djaji Prime. I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.